It's so good to see you. Today we're going to make something very simple, but something that you've probably enjoyed at least a few times, especially as a kid. This was one of my favorite things to make, and that is chocolate chip cookies. And it's just a very basic recipe. It's nothing fancy, and I'll show you where I got it. Right here. Now this was a bag of Baker's Corner milk chocolate morsels that I got at Aldi, and I've already emptied the bag because the recipe is on the bag and I wanted to be able to read it, and it's a little easier when the bag is empty. So I've actually placed all the chocolate chips in here in this bowl, and we have all of our other ingredients laid out and ready to start. So I'm going to read the recipe. I'm going to read the ingredients to you first. I'm going to tell you everything that you need to make these. And again, if you have an Aldi in your area, all you have to do is pick up a bag of chocolate chips. I have made these with semi-sweet chips. This time I'm going to use the milk chocolate morsels, but the recipe is pretty much the same. The only difference is if you buy the semi-sweet chips, the recipe on the back, I believe the only difference is that they call for nuts, and this one does not. So I'm going to read the ingredients for the chocolate chip cookies. First, you need 1 cup of unsalted butter, which I have here, and I've melted it just a little bit. I just stuck it in the microwave for about 20 seconds just to kind of soften it a little bit. 1/2 cup of granulated sugar, which I have right here. 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar, which I have not yet placed into the container, but we have the brown sugar right here. 2 eggs, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, which is right here, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of salt, 1.5 cups of Baker's Corner milk chocolate morsels, which is the one I got from the bag here. So this is 1.5 cups of the morsels, and they are not melted, as you can see. They're just poured in here from the bag. Okay. Now we're going to go over the instructions to make these. The first thing you do is you preheat the oven to 375 degrees, which I have done. My oven is preheating. And you coat a baking sheet with cooking spray. I will show you that. I have my sheet here. This is a Nordic Ware cookie sheet, and it's all ready to go. I'm just going to set that aside for now. Okay, and the second step in the instructions, the second step, in a medium bowl, which I have a medium bowl, you cream the butter and the sugars until light and fluffy. So the sugars that we have are brown sugar and just regular granulated sugar. So I have this bowl here. Just a regular glass bowl, it's nothing special. So first I'm going to pour the granulated, the white sugar in. I can move the chips aside for now. We don't need those yet. Okay. Now we have to measure the brown sugar. And the brown sugar, I'm going to need 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar. And this also came from Aldi. You can see it also has the Baker's Corner name on it. And I bought this bag about a week ago and made some chocolate chip cookies with it. And I still have plenty of brown sugar left. So open the bag. And I'm going to actually use the measuring cup that I used for the sugar. Take a spoon, just a regular teaspoon. Now we need 1/2 cup packed, which means if you've ever measured out brown sugar, see when you put it in, it's kind of lumpy. And if you don't pack it, you can end up with a lot of air, and you won't have an accurate measurement of your brown sugar if you don't take your spoon and kind of pack it like that. So we're putting in 1/2 cup of brown sugar, and as I go, I'm just kind of taking my spoon, I'm just kind of flattening it, pushing it down like that. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm going to try to make sure you're accurate, as accurate as you can be. And it's okay if you make a little mess. Cooking can be messy, that's okay. Okay, that's pretty good. I'd say that's close enough. Kind of looks like sand. Okay, there. Now I'm going to put that in there. There we go. Lovely. I'm going to fold this back and set it aside. I keep a clothespin on it. I'm going to actually put it in a better container when I get done so it won't dry out. All right. So we have the sugar in there. We have brown sugar and regular white granulated sugar. I'm just going to stir it up a little bit because we have some clumps. I'm just going to kind of take my spoon and break them up a little bit. That's better. Just kind of make it kind of uniform to mix the sugars together before we add the butter. Let's see. Okay, that's better. Breaking up the little clumps. Okay, now we have our butter, and it's kind of soft. It's not completely melted though. So I'm going to put that in there. All right, let me move my flour. All right, I'm going to take my spoon. And you could use a mixer for this. Obviously, it would be totally fine, but I'm just going to do it by hand. And the butter is very soft, very creamy, and it mixes quite well. It mixes very easily. Very nice. It says to mix it until it's fluffy, which I would say that's pretty fluffy. You can see it has a nice, lovely, sort of a beige color. It's from the brown sugar. Okay, and look, my spoon stands up in it. Okay, let's look at the next step on our bag. Okay, now that was step number 2. Step number 3, in another medium bowl, combine the flour, baking soda, and salt. Okay, now, as you may know, I'm in the process of moving, and I discovered when I was setting up to make these cookies that I've actually packed away most of my mixing bowls, and the only other bowl that I had that was big enough for this was this giant Tupperware bowl. So we're going to use this Tupperware bowl to mix our cookies because the only other bowl I had was too small. So we're going to use this bowl. So now let's see here. This is going to be our mixing bowl that we're going to put everything in here ultimately. Okay, so we're going to combine the flour, baking soda, and salt. Now the flour is all-purpose flour right here, and again it's from Aldi. Actually, most of my ingredients today were from there. Baker's Corner all-purpose flour for all your baking needs. And this is a container. I actually bought another bag because I wasn't sure how much I had. So I wasn't sure if I would need it, but I ended up not needing it. So we have 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Put that in there, like that. So there's the flour. And we need the baking soda and salt. We need a teaspoon of baking soda. I have that here. See? Baker's Corner pure baking soda. And I have it, I just kind of tore it open a little bit. So I'm going to hold it. I'm going to stick this in there. And get a teaspoon of that. I'm just going to lightly sprinkle it over the top of the flour just to kind of distribute it a little bit. And I will admit, when it comes to salt, I don't measure very well because kind of difficult with this. This is a sea salt grinder, which I got also at Aldi. And it would be very difficult to grind it into a teaspoon, so I'm just actually going to kind of estimate. Comes out pretty fast. So, and I have actually used this to make chocolate chip cookies before. It works just fine. So now we have the flour, baking soda, and salt all in there. I'm going to take a spoon. I'm just going to stir it around a little bit. Just try to distribute it a little. You can't really tell by looking at it how mixed it is, because it all looks kind of the same. But I think that's good. Okay. Now, oops, get out of there. So we have mixed the flour, baking soda, and salt. Now we're going to combine the flour and egg mixtures until almost fully combined. Oh, I'm sorry, wait. Actually, in here, I was supposed to also add eggs and vanilla. Let me do that. I missed that part. So we'll bring this back. This is our wet mixture. I forgot the eggs and vanilla. It's no big deal. So this is Stone Mill Essentials Vanilla Extract. This is also from Aldi. I just happened to be at Aldi when I was buying all this stuff. Okay, oh, it smells so good. It smells great. Okay, there's a teaspoon of that. Now I also need my 2 eggs, which we have. The 2 eggs here, I have not beaten them or anything. I just put them in the bowl. Now I'm going to take the spoon that I already had in there. I'm going to kind of break the yolks a little bit and stir. This is a little bit more difficult to mix because the sugar mixture seems to clump together, the sugar and butter. You have to kind of force the egg in there. And of course the egg is kind of slippery, so it doesn't really want to go either. But you just keep working at it, and it will go. Start to break it down and mix it together. That's better. Look at that. Look how well that mixed. How good that looks. Okay. So we've now added eggs and vanilla to our sugar and butter mixture. Now, we now have 2 bowls of stuff. There's a lump. Every now and then you get a little lump of brown sugar stuff. I just pick it out. My hands are clean, I promise. Okay. So, I'm going to take 1 spoon and just kind of scrape it like that. And get that off so it can mix. Alright, so now we have 2 bowls of ingredients. We have our wet ingredients and we have our dry ingredients. You notice we have not yet added the chocolate chips. We're getting there. That will be near the end. Okay. Okay, here we go. Gonna take the wet stuff, the wet mixture, and we're gonna put it in here. And one of the good things about having a larger bowl is that it's much easier to mix. You don't have to worry about it spilling over the sides or anything. So even though it's a bigger bowl than I probably need, it's really okay. So we're going to get all that in there, all that good stuff. Mixture in here. I'm going to take it and we're just going to start to stir. And I'm not ready to add the chocolate chips just yet. this with a mixer if you wanted to. It's totally fine. And as you mix, of course, the texture changes. It starts to become more like chocolate chip cookie dough. And these are very, very good. I made these about a week ago with the semi-sweet morsels because my kids have been begging me to make some cookies. They have been begging me for chocolate chip cookies, and so we made them, and they were absolutely delicious. And it makes a pretty good sized batch. I mean, I ended up actually taking a lot of them to work because we just had so many. Okay, now look at that. You see how beautiful that is? How well that blends like that? Perfect. Now, I'm going to scrape down to the bottom. Looks good. And again, my spoon stands up. I don't know why I always find that funny. Okay. Now we have combined the two sets of mixes, the dry and the wet. Now we are going to combine, we're going to add the chocolate morsels, add the chocolate chips. And here we have all that. We're just gonna pour them in. Oh, doesn't that look good? It smells wonderful. It really does. And you're just going to combine them until they're coated. You don't really have to do much else. Now, this part can be a little harder. It's harder to stir. And you can see that the steps that we've taken here, none of them are difficult. I am by no means a chef or a baker. I'm not very good at that kind of stuff, but even I can do this. This would be a fun thing to do with your kids or your spouse or whoever. I mean, it would be fun, a fun thing to do with anyone. It's very easy, very simple. You too can make homemade chocolate chip cookies, and they are absolutely delicious. They're so good. They're light. It's almost like they're light and a little bit crunchy, depending on how long you bake them. Now, and they're just great. And I recommend trying it sometime. Okay. Now, my spoon's standing up again. Now what we're going to do, step number 4, we're going to drop by rounded teaspoons on a prepared baking sheet the mixture, spacing 2 inches apart, and then you bake them for 12 to 15 minutes or until golden brown. Now, if your oven is like mine, the baking time can vary. My oven is very temperamental. Okay, let's turn it that way. So here I have my pretty baking sheet, and I've actually sprayed it with this butter flavored cooking spray. You can use really anything you want. You could use just regular butter or whatever you use to grease your cookie sheet. It's totally fine. Now I am not very good at this step of the process. I just got some on my spoon. You can see it's very sticky. I mean, it just, it's not going anywhere. So and again, my hands are clean. You take my finger and just sort of scrape it off like that. Get that chocolate chip. There we go. And there. And it said to space them about 2 inches apart. So I'm going to try to do that. And I'm just dropping them. They don't have to be perfectly round. As they bake, they'll flatten out. It's okay. I might be able to get one more right there. Yeah, I think it'll be okay. Just trying to keep them about 2 inches apart. And I have a lot of dough here. I mean, I can make, it's going to take more than one sheet, one baking to do this, for sure. Oops, That's a little one. Get over there. Okay. And if you were here, I would be so happy to have a cookie with you. I would share, and it's going to smell so good in here while they bake. It's going to be great. Okay, that one's a little crooked, but that's all right. They all taste good, doesn't matter how they're shaped. I've never known anyone to turn down a cookie because it wasn't perfectly round. Now I may be pushing it right here. This may be a mistake. We'll find out. Let's scoot them up from the edge a little bit. I don't want it spilling over the edge. So, but yeah, they will spread out as they bake to some extent. Okay. Now we're going to put these in the oven and we'll come back and see how they turned out. Well, here they are. They're absolutely beautiful. And you can see that they flattened out. Yeah, and they didn't go over the edge, which is wonderful. They're still nice and warm and they smell so good. Oh, I wish you could smell this. They're so delicious. They smell so good. Now, they are kind of brown. You see that they have browned in the oven. And you know, different people like to cook them, you know, to different degrees of crunchiness. Some people like to keep them kind of chewy. I like mine a little bit on the crunchy side. Now, normally you're supposed to let these cool a little bit. But I'm going to see if I can get one out. I'm going to hold it with my pot holder a little bit. There we go. I got one. And I have a napkin here. Go back this way. Look at that. Oh, look how pretty that is. Ooh, you can see the chocolate chips in there. Let's try it. Oh, that is so good. And she has a lot of chocolate chips. So delicious. It's absolutely perfect. And still, it's crunchy around the edges, but it's not, you know, super crunchy all the way through. Of course, they're not cooled yet, so they'll firm up a little bit more as they cool. Oh, the chocolate's still melted. It's wonderful. So yeah, definitely give this a try. I mean, even if you think you can't bake, you can't cook, you saw what I did. It was very easy. Now we got 16 cookies here. 1, 2, 3, 4 this way and 4 this way, minus the one I ate. And look how much dough I still have left. Look, I could easily get another 16 out of here. The ingredients are very simple, and it's very easy. So thank you for watching, and I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again soon.